Hi friends, it's Julia. I'm here to share a layout that I created using my November 2014 Counterfeit Kit Challenge Kit. It's May of 2016 and I am just now this month getting this kit used up. It's been on my shelf for a very long time. Anyway, I pulled in lots and lots of older paper and embellishments for this kit. I don't not use paper and embellishments because they're old. I keep them in my stash, sometimes for years upon years. I've been scrapbooking pretty close to probably 15 years now. And I keep everything that I love. Even if it's old and out of style, I don't care. I keep it because I love it. Anyway, back to the layout. So in my original video of the kit, I think I shared maybe manufacturers and all that jazz, and all the bits and pieces that I placed in my kit, so you can have a look at that for all the IDs of the supplies that I'm using. But anyway, I started off with a sketch from Sketches in Time. Time is spelled T-H-Y-M-E, and I started off with sketch number 199. It originally called for 2 photos in the horizontal direction, and then it had strips of paper behind each of those photos, one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the left, one on the right. So it looked like 2 shelves holding the photos with pattern paper strips behind them, or paper strips. I don't think they had any pattern to it on the sketch, but anyway, I didn't have any horizontal photos that I wanted to use. I used vertical photos. And so when I started putting everything together, I originally put the photos, matted the photos with some turquoise pattern paper that I had left over from a different layout, and excuse me, and then started with all the different bits and pieces of paper. I layered them up down the middle of the paper, and I wanted them to kind of not be completely lined up. I wanted them to be off center, a little this way, a little that way. And so as I was going through, I decided, when I got all the pieces of paper cut, I decided to ink up all the edges. And that's something I haven't done in a while. Up until this month. Previously, years ago when I started scrapbooking, I didn't ink anything. A few years later, I got into Close to My Heart scrapbooking, and their kits and everything they did was inked, and so I really got into inking everything. And then several years went by and I stopped inking altogether, and then I've kind of been in and out of it here recently, a little more so lately than maybe previously. But anyway, these papers had a somewhat distressed look about them, and so I decided to ink the edges of the pattern papers that I was using for the strips. Now, this piece of paper was part of a paper stack and had some glue pieces left on the sides, and I just had to trim them off so the paper would sit, or so the ink would sit on the paper, soak into the paper, and not just sit on the tape to rub off on other things. Anywho, so as I go through creating layouts, I kind of lay my papers out to decide where I want them, how I want them. Sometimes I immediately stick them down, other times I kind of play with them a little bit, but typically with my background papers, I get everything stuck down relatively quickly. And you'll see with these strips of paper, I stick them down pretty quickly. The other thing that I do is I don't typically always pull out a ruler and measure everything, but in this case, when the pattern strips of paper are going to be sitting kind of free floating in the middle, sometimes I will, only because all the different patterns, it kind of fools my eye into thinking that they're straight and even, and then when I stand back and I look, they're not, after the layout's complete. And so sometimes I pull out my T-square ruler and kind of measure things out to make sure that I'm getting everything squared up, if you will, as I'm going along. And so that's what you see me doing here. It sometimes it works out that way, sometimes it doesn't. I don't always use this method. And I did have a mat under my on my work surface on the countertop there that I'm using, but I thought it was maybe causing, one of my subscribers saw a video and thought that maybe the mat was causing the color gradient that you're seeing, the shading gradient that you're seeing in the layout. She thought maybe that's what was causing it, and so I thought, okay, well, I'll pull up the mat. And so I did, and obviously it's still doing it. And then my sister had a terrific idea that it might actually be my ceiling fan that's causing it to affect the lights, because the lights are elevated up. Anyway, so I had already taken the mat off, and so I didn't go back and refilm anything that's already got these shading gradients on it, because some of my videos have it and some don't, and I tend to think my sister may be right on this count, that, you know, maybe those were the videos that had the ceiling fan on that this is happening. Anyway, so I've turned my ceiling fan off. I don't even have it running in here now, and I'm not even creating a video today, and I don't even have it running. But hopefully that will affect the way that future layouts are. So I'm getting these strips laid down, and you can see I pulled one strip up and put it back down, only because I wanted to create a bit more of a gap and have some alteration in the way the strips are laid down. I don't want everything even. I don't want it all lined up evenly. I want it off center. I want it off kilter. I want jagged edges going down the sides to give it a little bit of interest. I'm looking through some paper scraps that I have there, looking to see if I want to add anything else to what I've already got. And laying my photos on there, I realized that the lighter turquoise color that I have them backed with, it doesn't give enough of a contrast. So I pull out a sheet of, it's almost a rusty orange color. It's one of my favorite cardstocks. I bought it years ago at Big Lots, probably 10 years ago or so. I bought a pack of like 25, and I have continued to use that cardstock over the years. It's not the best quality cardstock, but I do love it because I love the color. I'm a big fan of orange, and any shade of orange is okay with me. Well, maybe except for like neon orange. That's not my favorite, but I think every other shade of orange is. And so I backed these photos with it. The paper that I was using wasn't quite long enough, so what I typically do is I'll cut down some more scrap pieces and, you know, just layer it up to make it work. I'm not real fussy about doing this, because to me, I'm not submitting these layouts for publication anywhere, so, you know, I'm not uber sensitive. And even if I were submitting them for publication somewhere, I don't think I would change the way that I do things, because I try to get the most use out of the paper that I have and the supplies that I have, and so it doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't hurt my feelings, and when my family or friends are looking through my albums, I don't think it hurts their feelings either. So I'm going to keep doing it. Anyway, so as I'm going through here, I'm layering everything up and or inking everything up as I go along, and then I'm going to start laying things down. I'm not sticking the photos down yet, because I'm not 100% certain of their exact placement and the embellishments that I'm going to use. I don't know if you'll see. When I have a huge kit like the one that I created for this one, it's huge. I mean, I must have started off with like 50 pieces of paper in it, and the embellishments that I have is just crazy, and the stickers that I have, crazy. I have crazy amounts of supplies in this kit alone. So I go through, and when I have a kit this size and I start building a layout, I audition things. I know that I'm going to use these wood veneers, so I kind of layer them out, thinking, okay, am I going to use them here? What other embellishments am I going to use? I pull some things out, and I set them kind of sort of to the side. So I think, okay, will I use these wood veneer pieces here? Great word bubbles wood veneer pieces. Am I going to use them? Am I going to have the right word to go on them? And so I play with them. I lay them there, and then I pick them up, but I might lay them down again, and I might pick them up again, and as I try out other embellishments around the page. And so still considering, do I want to use one of those speech bubbles on each of the photos? Pull out some old brads, and looking at those brads, something triggered me to say, you need something more on the background. Don't ask me what my mind was thinking. So I pulled out a piece of this, it is paper tape by Basic Gray, and it's the precursor to washi tape. Basic Gray used to make all of these really great rolls of paper tape and decorated tapes and things, lacy type tape, but it was all paper. Came on little spools in collections, and it was awesome. And so I still have some of that in my stash, because I could never, when the rest of the stuff went out of style, I didn't get rid of it because I loved it. So I kept it around thinking I'll get some use out of that. So I put some in this kit knowing that I would get it used. And so I did. I pulled it out and used it here. Put a strip across there, and it's got, the background piece of paper has all kinds of colors in it. It's got orange and teal and blue and green and red and white and black, and all these different colors in there, so you can pull out any color to make this layout work. That little chipboard piece there is part of a set, maybe my mind's eye. It says on there, this is a moment to remember, and I pulled it out thinking I'm going to use that, and I found these other chipboard pieces that go with it, and they kind of have a stitched look around the edges of them, and the colors match perfectly. And so I'm lining it up. I know I'm going to use these things, and I know that I'm going to use them here, and I'm sticking everything down. I don't even think about it. I don't question it. My photos are down. I'm starting to put things down where I think I'm going to use them, and where I know that I'm going to use them. And that's just the way that I do things. If I know that it's going to work for me, down it goes. I don't even think twice about it. I just start putting things down. And so I'm moving around these little wood veneer pieces, thinking, am I going to use them? How am I going to use them? And I start placing them around. And so sometimes I will go through and place something down, and then go back and pull it up and reevaluate things and use it someplace else. But for the most part, when I place something down, I typically use it there, unless I feel like I need to tuck something under as I'm going, kind of like I do here. I'm thinking to myself, I need a little something more at the bottom to ground that diagonal piece of paper. So I take a piece of washi tape and I add it down to just ground that diagonal piece of paper at the bottom. Makes me almost feel like things are floating down. They're falling off the page, if you will. And so putting something down there at the bottom just kind of helped ground that for me. And so it kind of finished it off. Gave me a place to finish out my title and my embellishments, that kind of deal. And so I'm looking at it. I'm thinking about, okay, I've got the bigger stuff down. I've got all the heavier embellishments. Now what am I going to do for my journaling? What am I going to do for my finishing touches? All of that's going through my head. So I'm looking through all the gems that I added into my kit, and I added a whole lot of them. And I have been using the heck out of these. A lot of them are from Paper Studios, and I haven't used them in years and years. And so I bought them when they came out with them. Some of them are not you know, a terrific amount old, maybe within the last year. Some of them are a little bit older. And so I start placing some stuff down here, and I kind of use the orangey toned ones. They're like orange towards the center, and they're actually distressed looking because they're darker around the edges, almost a dark brown or a dark black around the edges. And I start placing those down as well. And then I'm looking at finishing touches. What else can I use? Because I have all this great stuff. I want to use as much as I can, but I also don't want it to look like I have just vomited product onto my page. And sometimes I get those pages that it feels that's exactly what I did. I just use a roller date stamp there to add the date, and this is from June of 2016. So the photos are from not June, January of 2016. So they're not old. I mean, they're from this year. They're recent photos used on really old paper. But I think it's really classic papers. They don't go out of style. And I think all of these, you have dots and stripes and florals and geometrics. Those kind of things don't go out of style. Some of the kits that come out these days, I mean, they could have very well, and I have found papers in my stash that remind me of papers from years, something that's current right now. I have the same pattern or the same paper in my stash from a bazillion years ago. You know, it's just how many changes can manufacturers really make? It's just the kits that they put together and the brand names that they come out with. You know, I mean, I'm a firm believer. It's all good. You know, if you love the product, keep it, use it, get it used up. Here I'm adding down Zoe and Grumpy. And so I use the small turquoise tile letters, and then I use an ampersand from a basic gray letter sheet to put the two together. And Grumpy is my husband. Zoe is my granddaughter. So the kids have always called my husband Grumpy, and so we're not going to change that. It'll always be the same. And so I'm adjusting the letter stickers here. I somehow or another, you know, I put that strip there to kind of ground them and keep them all even. And I've gotten them out of whack because I just relied on my eyes initially, and I can't always trust my eyes these days. They're getting older. It's not me. I'm not getting older. It's just the eyes. They're getting older. What can I say? So I've got that down, and that completes my title, and I'm still looking at it, and I'm still thinking, okay, I need something else. What else am I going to use? And so I'm debating on what I'm going to put down next. If I'm going to do any journaling, what's the journaling going to say? Am I going to write it directly onto the layout? Am I going to take some strips of, you know, pattern paper? What am I going to do? And so you can see, I almost start to write it down on there, and then I think, no, I've got a little bit of white up at the top where I stamped the date. I've got a little bit of white on the chipboard piece that says this is a moment to remember, and so I feel like I need that one more piece of white in there. And so I take some scrap paper excuse me, cut it down, and to do my journaling on. And so right now, using your own handwriting, and oh yeah, don't let me forget to edge those pieces of pattern or those journal strips with some ink, because yeah, this layout I've inked everything. Why not add some ink to those? And it really does. It gives the layout a nice look to have everything inked around the edges. I guess the only thing that I didn't ink was that chipboard piece. But anyway, right now, people are doing lots of hand journaling on their layouts, and they're playing a lot with how to create almost a calligraphy look with your handwriting. And so I take a Sharpie pen and I write my journaling out. Pretty simple stuff. It says, "This takes Butthead to a whole new level," with an exclamation point, and having a great time together. And I've already put down that Zoe and Grumpy right above that, so it's self-explanatory. So once I get all that done, I think, okay, do I want to leave this like this, or what do I want to do with it? So I go back through, I lay these down on the layout, and I'm thinking, they need something else. They need a little bit more. And so you can see I lay these down, and then I go back through and I beef up the letters. I give it that calligraphy if you will, look, that handwritten calligraphy look where you have thicker and thinner letters, and I'm just kind of trimming down the journal pieces there. And so I go through and I do that after I already get it down, because I think these just look kind of plain sitting here. It needs a little bit more. And so I get after it. It takes a while, because when you do this for so long and on such a small piece, it really does cause your hand to cramp. And so I think I had to stop once or twice in doing this and kind of shake my hand out so that it would not be cramping so much. And I get all comfy and stuff and lean into this, get my elbow down on the paper, hold my head up with my hand, and I mean, I'm just getting after it. I've got something playing on the TV, probably a YouTube video or something, just kind of, you know, doing my own thing, having a good time with it. But you can see, if you look around my workspace, I keep my pattern paper over to my left. And so as I need something, my pattern paper and stickers, are big sticker sheets, are over there, and then I keep all of my embellishments over to my right. And so you kind of get a look at the iris container where my papers and stickers are at. But there on the desk in front of me, I actually have some smaller bits of scrap paper that I've put out in the hopes to remind me to use them before I cut into other strips of paper. And I typically always try and remember to add some scraps of paper into my kits, whether it be paper strips from my paper strip bin or scraps from my scrap bin. I'm trying to make myself remember to, and I've actually added that to my list that for creating kits, is to add in scrap paper so that I get it used up. But as I'm going along working on a kit, I keep it all there. The little bits surrounding me up at the top of my layout, you'll see them, and over to the side, on the left side, you see a small little stack of smaller pattern bits. But I keep them there to remember to use them. And you can see I keep my embellishments over there. There's 2 little boxes of chipboard bits. The bottom one I've used quite a bit, and it's an old SEI collection. The top one is a K & Company, I believe, and it has a lot of travel theme, and I haven't really done any travel layouts with this kit. I'm using this kit primarily to make a gift album, an 8.5 by 11 gift album. Well, that's it. I'm to the end of it. I've finished up my journaling, finished making it look the way that I want, and my embellishments are the way that I want them, so I'm done with this layout. If you want close-ups, please pop over to my blog, juliesjournaloflife.blogspot.com, and I'll have close-ups there. Anyway, thanks for sticking around and watching this video today. Have a great day. See you on the next video.